2016 has definitely been the year of burning bridges. Some of you guys are here on this channel because one day you saw me in a Buzzfeed video. I've been in 2 so far, and they were both really positive experiences. Buzzfeed is a website that I've had a lot of respect for, as it's one of the few mainstream online sources that does amplify marginalized voices. At one point, I was in talks about having a residency with Buzzfeed, and when I got the offer, I was super excited. A residency is essentially just a fancy internship, but instead of getting coffee for people and running errands, you create your own original content for Buzzfeed. As someone that embodies so many intersections, I was really excited to create content for them. But unfortunately, I didn't get the job. I was really sad about this for a while, but today I'm sort of thankful that it never happened. A few months ago, I was contacted by a trans guy that worked for Buzzfeed. He invited me and some of the hardest working trans people in LA down to Siren Studios to brainstorm trans-related video topics. Like I said, Buzzfeed was a website that I respected, and a large part of that respect comes from their reach. Buzzfeed videos get millions of views, and I thought that contributing my ideas to Buzzfeed without compensation was all for the greater good. That wasn't until a fellow trans person in the email chain asked if we were going to be compensated for our time. They explained that trans people often work for free or for very little because they want to be heard or included. Not paying them perpetuates the same type of oppression that creates this specific type of desperation. If we give our ideas to Buzzfeed for free, who gets paid at the end of the day? Not the mostly trans people of color who are consulting the team, but the cis white men at the top of the company. There's this notion that as marginalized minorities, we should be thankful for the chance to work for free for a large company like Buzzfeed. And unfortunately, this was the expectation. When the trans employee of Buzzfeed responded to this question, he said that Buzzfeed didn't have the budget for consultants. You get that? $1 billion company can't afford a measly consulting fee for videos that would only make them more money. This was honestly the first time that I started to view Buzzfeed in a certain type of way. However, as my circle grew more and more, I befriended more people who worked at Buzzfeed, and I kept hearing things that started to change my perspective. One of my friends actually used to work on Buzzfeed's diversity team. I didn't even know that Buzzfeed had a specific diversity team. They did. That wasn't until they fired them all because their content wasn't gaining enough views. People often forget that Buzzfeed is a business, and it's not this thing that exists in a perfect little vacuum. It's a moneymaker, and they're going to invest in what is profitable. This may be disheartening to creators who aren't white or cis or male because the content that they're creating that caters to their community isn't seen as viable. So you walk into a company almost knowing that you have an uphill battle that your white counterparts just don't have. If you're a fan of Buzzfeed, you might notice that some of your favorite faces are slowly but surely disappearing. Brittany Ashley was a lesbian creator that created lesbian content for Buzzfeed, and Jenny Lorenzo produced Latinx content for Buzzfeed's Parallel channel. They both decided to act on the weekend in America Ferrera's show called Hentefied, and when Buzzfeed found out about this, they abruptly fired them both. This was because of the non-compete and exclusivity clauses in their contract. You ever wonder why you never see people in Buzzfeed videos almost anywhere else? Well, it's because they signed contracts that require them to essentially work for Buzzfeed and Buzzfeed alone. When they break away from that, well, they're fired. And the sickest part of that is that Buzzfeed essentially owns their image. They still run pages with their names attached to them and promote other content through them. These creators sold Buzzfeed not only some of their best ideas, but also their likeness. And as unethical as this all sounds, they signed into it. Gabby Dunn is also a former Buzzfeed employee, and she wrote recently about her experiences working at the company. As an eager 22-year-old wanting to work in the industry, she didn't really look over contracts or read the fine print. When she was offered the job and was handed a contract, she signed it because she wanted to work. She had no idea that she was essentially signing her soul away for months at a job that forbade her to work anywhere outside of Buzzfeed. Of course, she should have read her contracts, but like many people desperate for work, she was eager to just get paid and to do what she loved. And that's a mistake that a lot of young creatives make. and it's one that I could have made. I just got back from VidCon where I was on 4 panels and all of them were about diversity. I wouldn't have been able to be on any panels had it not been for Akilah speaking up last year and taking YouTube and VidCon to task about their lack of diversity and support for marginalized minorities. She's been taken to Twitter to call out Buzzfeed for allegedly plagiarizing one of her videos about being an introvert. The 2 videos share striking similarities, and even the thumbnail is eerily similar. Buzzfeed regularly leaches content from websites like Reddit, Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook and claims them as their own original content. This is the byproduct of creative quotas that BuzzFeed producers have to maintain in order to secure their employment. So to break this down, BuzzFeed regularly leaches from online content creators, especially those of color. They do not pay most of the people featured in their videos, or the ones who consult for them. Working for them means signing an exclusivity agreement that means that they own your image and every idea you create for them. They no longer have a team dedicated to creating more diverse content on their platform. And even when they fire you, they can continue to make money from your likeness. And all of this is legal. Making this video was hard for me because I know that I just burned some bridges. But I'm making this video for other young creatives. BuzzFeed is not unlike most media companies. In fact, this is all standard practice. In 2014, when I filmed my first video for BuzzFeed, I was working on a children's book as an illustrator. It was one of my first gigs, and I put my heart and my soul into it. This year, it's finally being published, and the dynamic has changed. 2 years ago, I needed them, a big company with an established name and a reach that was further than mine. Today, I reach millions of people in the space of a week. I travel across the country speaking, and I have more job offers than I can honestly handle. Today, I'm their asset. Yesterday, they were mine. The book will sell because people like me and appreciate my content, but I won't see any residuals or further compensation because I didn't know at the time to ask for it. Don't doubt your power and your possibility. Don't sacrifice your integrity for the vague promise of exposure. Exposure won't pay your rent, feed you, or pay your student loans back. Exposure will, however, ensure that places like BuzzFeed make the maximum profit from your story. And on that note, I want you guys to always remember and to never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye! If you like this video, you can support my work by becoming a monthly Patreon patron. Your fave is problematic. I have a shirt in my store that says problematic in all caps and floral lettering. The meaning behind the shirt is that regardless of how we'd all like to see ourselves,